A-E-1 short.
My name is Megan Perry Fisher. I'm a composer and musical artist. My work kind of has some like dynamic composition around like string arrangements, and I always knew that I wanted to come here ever since I was younger. I just had my sights set on New York City. Actually, come to think of it, that's a huge part of my approach in sound recording. It's a lot more human and it's a lot more analog than it is digital. Like I play all the piano myself. I don't use any MIDI strings. I use all real players. Yeah, so the new record is called Pensées, which means thoughts in French. And this is At Some Time Somewhere for AT1 Radio. Currently, I released my first full-length album last year, which is piano and strings and cinematic kind of music. And I'm currently working on another album that actually has vocals. And then I'm working on a new music for a new ballet. Well, yeah, I started taking piano when I was about 4 years old. My mom started teaching me, and then we started taking ballet, my sister and I, when we were really young, and listening to Tchaikovsky on an old record player. I just fell in love with the music, and more so the music, but I also loved everything about ballet. So then fast forward to living in New York City. I'm in grad school studying film scoring, and then a choreographer from ABT reached out to me, and she wanted to shoot a video and commission a piece, so I wrote something, and she has this side project called Cardboard Stage, and it's a bunch of ballerinas from different companies, and they all come together, and we perform in different places in the city that are a bit outside of the norm, like a warehouse in Brooklyn, that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I loved this one performance we did in Greenpoint at this warehouse. It actually was this whole lineup of women, so it was like 6 dancers, 6 women dancers, and then myself and 3 violinists, and we all were standing across the warehouse, and it was like standing room only, and it was just, the energy was really cool in the space. It was just unique, and they had a series of dances, but they had some more contemporary, and then mine was like piano and 3 violins, and then the dancers, so it was really fun. My grandmother was a very talented violinist, also a redhead, side note. And yeah, she always really pushed me towards music, or just encouraged me in my music, and was very diligent about practicing and her craft. And then my mom, of course, like I said, started me when I was younger, and she, instead of having piano recitals, she had piano parties. So it was always a very positive experience from a very young age. And then my sister, she wasn't as much into the actual music side, but she started creating videos on our old, what are those big video cameras? And we would make these videos, and I would write music for it. And then now she's a film director, and I'm a composer. We have worked together, so it's pretty cool. I do love an immersive experience. Like the ballet was one example, and then another would be for my album release, I had collaborated with a visual artist for about 3 years, and the culmination of the work was 12 paintings in a gallery, and we moved a piano in there and performed the music in the midst of all the visual works. So yeah, that kind of experience I feel like is unique, and it creates a connection and an experience for people that's just a little outside of the traditions, and so I do enjoy that. Yeah. The first film ever was a documentary about child sex trafficking in the United States, and we were in our early 20s. I wrote the music for it, and we went around and did screenings in all 50 states, actually. We were very ambitious at the time, and yeah, we screened in all kinds of venues, and yeah, I had the score, but I also played live too as part of that whole experience. It was cool. It was kind of like The Invisible Children. I don't know if you remember that. It was that sort of thing where we were like showing a film, and then there would be like a presentation about the issue. So the film it's Sex and Money, a national search for human worth about child domestic sex trafficking. So in the United States. So yeah, so that was the first project we did together. And then we've kind of veered off because I'm now more in like the art house space, and my sister's continued in documentaries, which is great. I'm sure we'll overlap again at some point. It's a very, very heavy topic, but important to bring awareness to. I needed a little. I asked my sister. I said, "Can we do something like light and fluffy now, just to like break it up?" Yeah, I mean, I grew up with Philip Glass, sort of as, I guess you could say, the godfather of my genre, and I started writing piano melodies myself, and then I realized that this was a whole world, and I met Nils Frahm a while ago when I was in Berlin. Like, this was way before Nils Frahm, like he wasn't big at all. And I was hearing some of the stuff he was working on, and there was this whole music scene in Berlin where this genre of music, there was just a bunch of really talented people. And so we all kind of were inspiring each other at that time. This was probably about 10 years ago. And so that pushed me in this vein of pursuing my own solo work with like piano-based sort of minimalism, but then my work kind of has some like dynamic composition around like string arrangements and that kind of fill out the atmosphere. But yeah, that's kind of the whole like universe I'm in. I did tour with singer-songwriters. Like I do also sing, and I was kind of the keyboard player, backup singer for like several musicians and that I toured with, and we toured in Europe and some here. So that was kind of what I did for a while before I started doing my own, like recording my own music, or doing stuff like branching off and doing my own albums. I would record on other people's albums and play and sing on them. So that's kind of how I started. But yeah, the genre was more like singer-songwriter, like indie rock kind of bands. Coming here, what brought me here was studying that NYU has a film scoring program. So that's kind of what initially brought me to New York. But I always knew that I wanted to come here. Ever since I was younger, I just had my sights set on New York City. So that was kind of what jump started me here. And then, being here about 7 years, and then through that and through doing a bunch of different projects, musical projects, and I still am here. I'm still living here part-time. But yeah, Virginia was, my family's near there. I grew up in Virginia, and the pandemic kind of brought me closer to family again, basically, is the essence of it. But yeah, Richmond, Virginia has like quite a great art scene as well, and I'm starting to connect more with the music community there too. There's a studio there called Space Bomb Studios that I recorded the orchestra for one of the tracks on my album, and there's a lot of talent. It's incredible. They record very like old school, like Motown, the way the style of their recording. It's incredible. All live. I work a lot with Bunker Studios in Brooklyn. They're really great. I've done several like string sessions there, and Electric Lady one time I worked there. And yeah, Bunker is probably the main one that I've worked at, and the engineer Todd there is like incredible, and they have a lot of good like analog gear, and yeah, just really warms up the sound. Actually, come to think of it, that's a huge part of my approach in sound recording. It's a lot more human and it's a lot more analog than it is digital. Like, I play all the piano myself. I don't use any MIDI strings. I use all real players. And then recording in studios that have these analog preamps and tube mics, and it basically just gives it a very warm, rich sound that it's like a vinyl record, playing a vinyl record versus, listening to like a digital track. It just has this like warm tone to it that's really like nostalgic. And I like to hear the piano bench, moving, or the sound of the hammers on the strings, and just these different details that I think kind of, it's hard to articulate when you're listening to a recording, but that's kind of where I lean more towards, like with players and the approach and everything. Yeah, so the new record is called Pensées, which means thoughts in French, and I have a vinyl record, which the cover of it, Colleen Herman, like a visual artist from New York, she painted, and that's available everywhere on all the streaming platforms as well. And then then my new single came out today called Crimson, and that's a solo piano single, and that was a collaboration with Casa Shop, which is like we filmed a video at this architectural home in Virginia that's really beautiful, and so it's a short film. So today the short film came out, and then my track came out on all the streaming platforms. Yes. So yeah, with the album, it was about a 3-year long collaboration. So I started off sending piano sketches to Colleen, and she loops the songs in her gallery, paints to the music, and then as the songs developed, as the recordings developed, I would send her new versions, and as 3 years went on, like she ended up with 12 paintings that correspond to the 12 compositions on the album. And then we showcased them. We had an exhibition in Los Angeles at Sarah Brook Gallery, and it's an amazing gallery. And we exhibited that like for about a month last year, and all the paintings have sold, but we did a sound installation. I performed the opening night, and we had like QR codes corresponding to the different paintings. But we have an art book that's in the works, so that's coming out on Drama Books in Paris. So that'll be in different like art book stores. So it'll have the piano music. It'll have we have all the paintings in there and some other imagery and BTS from the project. So, and a writer also, we brought a writer in as well. So that kind of telling more the story of our collaboration. I'm mostly inspired by other mediums than music, to be honest. So I was always a huge, I would go to galleries in my spare time. I still do. So I'm a huge appreciator, but that was a new world to me as well. So I learned a lot from doing this, multi-sensorial exhibition. Like it was all new to me about how all of that works. But I think what made it feel a lot more personal and like grounding with the experience, especially seeing how people engaged and came, it's like just all the tangible work coming together, and it does feel a lot more accessible and personal. Then it makes just the story of like, especially with instrumental music, to have like, again, like thought 1, thought 2, each song is a thought, each painting. So it's an abstract painting with essentially an abstract song, but they're essentially like feelings, and it can help take people in a different place and like wherever their thoughts want to take them. So yeah, it doesn't have to be this, lofty like thing, highbrow thing. It is quite approachable, I've found, but I'm still learning about the art world myself. It's different than the music world for sure. I like Pete's Candy Store. It's a really like fun. I've actually performed there. I've sang there before with my friend Jake Lewis from here. It's just fun. It's like chintzy and like small, and you can hear just such interesting talent coming through, like really good songwriters. So, and it just has a nice kitschy charm to it. I like it. You can find me on Instagram, Megan Perry Fisher, and then also on all the streaming platforms, Bandcamp, Spotify, all of that. So you can listen to my music there. Yeah, the record is Pensées, and the new single is Crimson. And I also had another track that came out last week called Serenade on this compilation album, and it's like a reimagination of like classical pieces, but like in a more contemporary way. So that album is called Echoes, and Serenade is a ballet piece, of course, once again, that I reimagined, and it's on the track. You'll find it on Spotify.
AE1 short.
At Sometimes Somewhere is produced by Audio-Technica for AT1 Radio. It is recorded at AT1 Studio at Technica House, New York. Follow AT1 Radio and Audio-Technica USA on all social media platforms. Thanks for listening.